So after studying light and the way that it bends and stuff, and what about the structure of it and what it does, this is ultimately the image that I came up with. And here in a minute, I'm going to show you how I came up with this structure. So before I start talking about what I believe is the way that light forms the structure of the universe, I want to go into what this Walt Disney symbol really means, which is that basically it is the arc of transcendence and our soul contract. The arc is projecting itself forward as rays that are coming out as different layers projected onto our reality. And the D in Disney is a spiral with a line going through it. And I will get to what that means later on in the video. But all you have to know is this. The 6 flags are all the numbers in the vortex math. And I will explain what vortex math is. And when you unscramble Walt Disney, you can spell, if you flip the T upside down and like shift it, it looks like an L. So basically what I got, and the D, you can flip it around to look like a G. And if it looks like a G, it can also be a D, so you can spell signed. So basically it says why we all signed, or you can say all or all alternately, but it spells why we all signed, our soul contract, why we're here. That's what it's about. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about the structure of light. So how I found out about this. So basically there's this truck and it's got X release on it, and the X is 2 lines, and then there's a thicker line that's going through it. And there's pictures on the internet of this truck next to the St. Louis Arc, and this arc is what I saw reflecting off of the parts that I work on at work. And when there was this reflection, this arc was the reflection, and the rays that was coming off of it looked like this, and that's what the extra release symbol looks like. So when there is like 1 dot on this arc, like if there's just no arc at all and there's just 1 dot, it'll be a line. If this dot spreads out into a circle, it'll have 2 dots and it'll look like 2 lines, but it's really just this thicker line spread it out. So like this arc, once it starts going up, it'll spread out into 2, and that'll create these 2 lines. And when it goes up further and encounters like another dot, this dot will go this way and it'll look like this. And so a dot is also a line, and 2 dots equals 2 lines, or a circle equals 2 lines. So, and the dots also look like stars, and stars look like lions' coats, because I was explaining about the lion's gate, and this symbol kind of looks like keys back to back. And so pretty much the rays that come off of the reflection is the key. The vibration or the rays is the key to the arc or the keyhole. So these are the reflections of these are all the different reflections that I saw on this part. And this part was like a hookup and it was a cylinder. So the way that this arc goes up things, it goes up a cylinder type of shape, and it's like there's an arc that reflects off of a cylinder, which at the end is an oval or a circle. And like I said before, that circle is also, or that ring is also a spiral. So it just goes on and on and on. It's like a layered type of light that reflects, illuminates. And so basically there's one that is like a bird, like a sideways bird or something. There's ones that are like this. There's the full 8. There's the arc with, or a triangle that, and it looks like a half circle, like an eye or something. And there's ones that like just go up in the same direction, like a current, and ones that go in this opposite directions. So the one that's really particular is this one. Like there's stages, and it progresses, it goes up and turns into a dot, and then the dot expands. And one thing I noticed is that it looks like an R when it expands. And if you haven't noticed, like this R symbol is everywhere. There's so many things with an R on it. And it's not just registered trademark, it's Republic. Like in Bioshock, the guy's name is Ryan, and there's all kinds of symbolism in that game because that game's about the rapture, and it has transcendental symbolism all in it. So the R is a very significant symbol, and this is ultimately what it is. It's an illumination in the stage of the arc of transcendence, and ultimately it turns into the infinity symbol. So, like, the reason we know a dot is a line is simple. If you draw a dot out, and if you stretch out a dot, it'll make a line. And like, if you stretch a dot out in 2 ways, it'll make a line on both sides of the dot. So the dot is a line and a light source. And like as I showed before, the dots, when the rays that come off of them come in like at an angle, and usually this one is the other way, but this time I drew it that way. But how a dot turns into a wider circle, well, it starts out as a line, and then this line like loops up because it's a straight line, but then the line goes into like a loop, and this dot spreads out into a circle. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and until finally there's another dot at the top. So like this would be an example of like 2 thick lines, But as like I said, it spreads out like this. So this one dot down here, like it splits in half, and there's two of them, and there's one at the top. So eventually this part, other than being a circle, spreads all the way out, and the whole thing becomes an arch. Because the dot is a line, and the line spreads out, and it's halfway. And this is what it looks like if it's a full circle, if it's all the way. But this line, like if it spreads out, then there's a dot that's spread out is two lines. But these two lines are also one line, and there's one thicker line going through them. This is the line that's split in half. So it's like an atom. Every atom has spin, and this atom splits in half, and when it splits in half, there's two elementary particles that spin around, and they spin around like they're going in a spiral, but really it's like this because a wave through a line is a spiral. It's spiraling around the line. So it creates like a double helix symbol. And sometimes the arc looks like a triangle too. So like another thing I noticed one time, I was wearing like a face shield and I was looking at the lights, and they spread it out like this, and instead of like going this way like vertically, they spread it out horizontally, and I could really see that like this arc, like it comes out, and then there's one line, and then there's like an arc, a circle, and then there's like two circles overlapping each other, and then they finally just spread out all the way. And it's a 1, a 0, and a 0, just like binary code. And this is what the sonic symbol looks like. The sonic symbol has these half circles, and a line going through it in the center and two lines on the side, just like this. So like if there's a full circle, and like I said, it projects its rays out in like a hologram, there would be like two holograms on each side, but these holograms are like right in front of it, so really these two rays are connected to each other, but they're like projected outward from these circles because each side is a half arc. So like these rays also has like a 90-degree turn or like shift from the original circle, because the circle is going up and these are going left and right. So basically it takes like a 90-degree turn or a shift, and so light is a wave too, and an arc, like a weld arc or any kind of arc, like an electrical arc, creates an arc flash, and there's like this wall just like the dot, how I showed you how it forms into a circle and eventually an arch. Well, an arc flash is blue, and it starts off as a dot on a wall or a line, and then it gradually goes up into an arch or an arc. And the reason the light is blue is because blue is the shortest wavelength. And blue, when it comes down from the sky, because it is so crammed together and so it's the shortest wavelength and it's the fastest one, so all the other wavelengths are really long, so they go through the particles in the sky a lot easier. But blue is the shortest wavelength, so it bounces off of the particles in the sky and spreads across the sky. And that's why the only color we can see in the sky is blue. And that is why a Weld arc and an electric arc is blue, and why the Walt Disney symbol is blue. It's all part of the arc and the holographic reality that we live in. So a spiral with a line through it is also a wave, or a double helix with two spirals. I've shown that, and how I arrived at that is because when I was looking at a window one day, it's kind of like when you're looking up at a blue sky, you see all these little dots everywhere. It's kind of like static. It's all the individual photons that I was looking at a window at the time. All the individual photons were hitting the window, and basically it makes all these little dots and they look like static. But upon closer examination, like what I realized is that these dots are only dots, but they make ripples. Like if you throw a stone in water, it will cause a wave. But so I was like seeing waves within this static. I was seeing waves within these dots, or photons of light that were hitting the window. And at the same time, I was also seeing, like, it looked like it was spinning. So not only was it a wave or a ripple, it was also like a spiral because it was spinning. And like it kind of looked like this. It was like spiraling, but there was like little spikes coming off of it, like a hedgehog or something, like Sonic the Hedgehog. It was like a bunch of spikes that were coming off of this spiral as it was spinning. And this is what I was seeing in this window. And so basically, photons of light are particles and photons, but they're also waves and spirals at the same time, because like I said, a wave is a spiral, and this spiral makes these like spikes, and these spikes are triangles. And it all has to do with sound. Light has a certain kind of vibration to it, a certain sound to it, as I'll explain later, that this spiral at different points in it, it gives different pitches of sound as it goes up and down the spiral. That forms a triangle. And if there's two spirals, there's two triangles that overlap one another. And it's a 6-pointed star. And within inside of this star is a hexagon. And that's how I arrived at this, that a wave A spiral is a wave.
You know, as a cop, you see some pretty weird shit. But I have to be honest with you. What you did back there, that freaked me out.
To put everyone to sleep like that.
Do I need to be worried?
No.
Good.
Do you mind?
No.
어디야? 예, 여기가 지금 두발드 그라스라는 병원입니다.
혹시 찾았냐?
네, 방금 문바 체크.
This lid, there's a reflection on it, and it's just one ray. It's one line, but this line can spread out and cover the whole thing. Kind of like an umbrella, or a bow tie, or a nuclear symbol. And that's just one light source from the window. But if you add another light source, then there's another reflection, there's another line, because this light source is not only a dot, but it is a line at the same time. So before I move on, I have to talk about vortex math. So in vortex math, there's a circle, and there is like kind of like an infinity symbol. It's like a W. And the other one is like an upside down V, but it's a triangle. And the triangle is like what I said with the spiral. The spiral forms a triangle, and it's 369. And 369 is the metaphysical round, the metaphysical realm. And so 3 and 6 oscillate back and forth. 3 plus 3 equals 6, and 6 plus 6 equals 12, and the two digits in 12 is 1 and 2, so 1 plus 2 equals 3, and it just goes on. And So 3 and 6 oscillate back and forth. 9 always goes back to itself. 9 plus 9 is 18, and 1 plus 8 equals 9. And it doesn't matter how many times you add 9 or multiply, it goes back to itself. So 1 plus 1 equals 2. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 4 plus 4 equals 8. 8 plus 8 equals 16. And 1 plus 6 equals 7. And 7 plus 7 equals 14. And 1 plus 4 equals 5. So this is vortex math. And 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, and 5 are like the physical realm. So in this symbol, you can see it. It's on the Volkswagen. It's in the Volkswagen symbol, like on a Beetle car. And the beetle is a very ancient and significant symbol too. And the beetle is a sacred symbol and also a sacred animal to the Egyptians. And this is also basically the structure of the Freemason symbol, which is the square and the compass, and the G in the middle equal. Most people think it means God, but since God is the ring, Lord of the Rings, pretty much, it has to do with geometry. So there you go. Okay, I'm gonna explain how extralyse is just a part of a DNA segment or a type of natural vortex that uses vortex math. So you can see here that this part of the sequence looks like extralyse. And what happens is, okay, when you do this, these are like waves, you know, and they overlap each other. And there's 4 of them. Instead of 2. Because there's 2, and then there's 1 that's where the 9 and the 3 and the 6 goes, and then there's a bottom triangle 2 that's a 9, a 3, and a 6, in my opinion. Because when you draw it like this, it just looks more complete. But that's how I got this. And okay, if there's a thicker line, there's two thinner lines, then the thin lines make like a transparent white line. The thick line makes like a filled in line, which could be light or it could be, you know, it's kind of like dark and light, you know, but at the same time it's all light. And what I've noticed is there's a current, okay, there's like a current going through this, and it uses vortex math. And it makes all of these diamonds or squares. And one diamond or square is overlapped by another one, and then another one, and another one. And as you can see here, if you cut off one of the diamonds, on each part it forms a hexagon. And a hexagon has 6 sides and 6 vertices. Ultimately, this hexagon is formed from the shape of vortex math in a circle. If you add on diamonds to the top of it, it goes up and up and up, and it goes from a hexagon, and then it goes back into a diamond, and one diamond is overlapped by another one and another one and another one. And it keeps going up and up and up. And there's like this, these lines that go through it, and it goes up and it transcends, it goes up, it ascends. And it's like through meditation or something. This is what the Lion's Gate is a hexagon. It uses vortex math. And it's like a sequence of geometric shapes. And it's like there's a current going horizontally, and there's a way to tap into it and swing it into a vertical motion to where you can tap into this energy somehow. And much in the same way that you can write it in straight lines, you can also write it in curved lines, just like a DNA strand. And I've attached the ends just so you can see where it goes off and on. And all the 4 lines make ultimately it's 2 strands that wind through each other. And these look more like eyes or something, or footballs, if you will. And it's the same concept, only it's in like a football eyeglass shape. So in space, the reason the solar system, space is full of a bunch of hot ether, and the sun has like spindles that open up space, and the whole edge of this is like a firewall, and light, there's a thing called refractive lensing, where light bends around the planets and creates like a spiral around them. And so what I think is, a dot is also a line and a circle at the same time. Like quantum mechanics, in quantum computing, a circle can be a 1 at the same time. It's like binary code. But if this is the Earth and it's in the center, and there's a lens of light around it, or a ring, just like I said, when a dot opens up into a circle, it spreads the original line in half, and then there's 2 lines on the outer edge. So this spiral and a bunch of circles together create rings, which is a spiral pretty much. So if this is the Earth and it's in the very center of this is like a cylinder, and the Earth is in the very center of this, and the light is on the very outer edge of this, and this is like a 3D object, and this is like spiraling inside of the cylinder on the outer edges, like if there was like a pipe or whatever, and you was on a skateboard and you went around it like that, but it would look like this. So at the same time, these rings that are refracted around the Earth or the planets are also spirals and 1s at the same time. So at the same time that it is a bended light, it is a straight line. So the reason why anytime you go from a planet to its outer orbit, the reason why it always increases in speed, and the speed is always the same, is because you're closer to this outer ring of light, which is the orbit of a planet, and this outer ring is also a straight line.